Alright, so 802 here at the very end of the hallway is one of my favorite stories, seeing as the nature of the deaths in the room just unsettling, to say the least. So a kind of a fun fact about indoor plumbing back in the 1940s is that it was very expensive to run plumbing into every single room. So the O2 rooms on every single floor were the communal bathrooms. So this was in the 1940s, about right after the World War II had ended, and a gentleman staying in 817, which is on the very far end of 8th floor there, walked from 817 to 802 to use a restroom. He locked himself in there, and about 5 hours later, the maids decided that they finally needed to break down the door. And they do, and they find the man hanging there from a noose that he made. And the weird, kind of peculiar thing about that was he had fresh tears on his face. He had just been crying before they broke down the door. He spent 5 hours in there before deciding to kill himself. On top of that, after the room was renovated into an actual bedroom, 802 hosted a woman who was supposed to check out that day in the 70s, and she stayed there until about 11 o'clock in the morning. Now 11 o'clock in the morning is when our checkout is. So the maids, excuse me. The maids knocked on the door and they asked if she was there, and they didn't get a response. So naturally they went in expecting that she was gone, and they went into the bathroom and found that she had died from a kind of a peculiar drowning case in the bathtub. When they did the autopsy, they found no signs of a struggle, as far as bruising goes, or scarring around the wrists or neck or anything, nor any signs of drugs or alcohol in her system. She had just sort of passed away. But they did find water in her lungs. She had drowned, obviously. So it was a very, very odd.
It's kind of strange that no death in the hotel can be pinpointed to either a murder or a suicide, because really there's no evidence to either. One of my favorite stories is down at the other end of 8th floor here, and that's one of our most famous, actually, is the story of the woman in white. Now, down on that side of the building in 1970, we had a woman staying there with her husband. They had just had their wedding, and late on that November night, the woman went out the front-facing window, fell 8 stories, body hit and splattered across the concrete. Police show up, and after they realized that no husband had come to, see his bride, they thought they should go check the bedroom. Come all the way up here, and they bust down the door to find that there is, first, no husband. Second, another noose tied in the bedroom with a shredded picture of her husband right next to it. Now, it wasn't until a few days after that, word got out, it's a small town, a story like that overtakes Rapid City rumors everywhere. It eventually becomes known that the husband was known for having a mistress. And so they thought that, maybe he got cold feet and left, and the wife had tried hanging herself and then jumped. But after further investigation, the police realized that the bride had late parents who had left her a large cash sum inheritance she had brought with her here to the hotel. And so it was when they revisited their itemization of the room, they realized that there was no inheritance there and none of the groom's belongings. And it kind of became the most probable theory that the groom had actually married her for the money and tried faking her death as a suicide, and when he failed to do so, resorted to pushing her out the front-facing window, left with the money for his mistress. So that's a pretty tragic tale. Ever since that death, actually, anyone who stays on this floor often reports waking up the sensation of someone sitting on the foot of their bed. Guests who wake up in 812 will often report seeing flashes of white pass between the windows. Most people think that it is the suicided bride either contemplating her jump or whether or not to marry the man who would later push her out one of those windows. So those are some of the more popular stories we have up here on the 8th floor. We have probably an hour's worth of stories here from guests, employees, and police reports that we tell. All night tonight, Halloween, October 31st, myself, Bryce here, and the rest of the valet will be giving tours all night, up until midnight tonight. So feel free to stop in, check with the valet, and if we're free, we'd love to tell you guys some of the ghost stories and show you some of the rooms here. We also have K2 meters, which are the professional meters that ghost hunters use for detecting paranormal activity. We send every tour group with one of those, so hopefully you'll get some red dots on that. Anything else, Mr. Brinker?
I think so. I think that's everything.
Mr. Johnson, are you here?
You might find him on the 3rd floor.
Continue with your story, Mr.
Oh, yes.
Sorry. So we've got plenty of stories from the basement. Those elevators are acting off all day. So we actually had a front desk worker over the winter. She went down for a couple towels. That's where all of our housekeeping and laundry is done. Is down in the basement. So she goes down at really early in the morning. She's doing a night out shift, and she ends up calling the police because she keeps hearing the sound of someone with chains following her back and forth through the basement. They find her in the very back corner with a towel over her head. She was so terrified.
Yeah, about a month ago, actually, we had a valet. Andrew went down in the basement. We have automatic lights down there now, and he said as he's walking through, they just wouldn't turn on. And so he is walking there in the dark looking for a coffee maker. And he gets back into the far corner where we keep them, and he said it felt like someone took their hand and just brushed it right up against the base of his skull. Turned around throwing punches. He was so scared. There was nothing there, just open space behind him. We actually have a book right up here at the front desk where guests can come and write the stories they've experienced. Right here we have a ghost book, and you can see that there are hundreds of guest stories from, we actually average about 3 a night if you go through here and look at the dates, and they come from all floors usually except the 4th, 5th, and 9th. But 3rd, 6th, 7th, and 8th all get plenty of stories. We get a lot of pictures too, like this gentleman here. You can see the figure of someone up above him right there. And this just rests in our lobby all the time for guests to come check out while they're staying here.
Very cool indeed.
Hi, from Mayor Steve Allender and the City Council of Rapid City. Have a happy Halloween and be safe.
Happy Halloween. It's Saturday, October 31st of 2015. You guys go out to have trick or treat. There's probably down in Civic Center, there's probably a fun night down there. You guys if you guys need a taxi, just come and give me a call at 605-389-7023. I'm available. Talk to you later.
Fireplace and the spears up here at the head of the chandelier. Everything you see in the lobby is completely original except for the light bulbs and the carpet down here. The whole hotel was originally candlelit. You can see up here the original painting on the ceiling, which has never been retouched. Everything in the lobby is themed after kind of a mix of Native American and Germanic ancestry. As Mr. Johnson himself here was German, but during his stay here, became blood brother to Sioux chieftain Iron Horse, and is pictured wearing their ritualistic headdress right there. So because of those two things, he decided to theme this entire place after what he considers his mix of heritage. You can see the German-Swiss balcony railing and Fachwerkhäuser up there, which is the German word for cross-timbered housing, up there on the ceiling. Mm-hmm. And then you can see the Native American designs in the earthy coloring and the Indian headdresses up there.
Now, here's one thing I do want to point out that has been a very, very big misconception for everyone. If you look on the floor right there, that is not a swastika. That is a Native American Thunderbird symbol. If I understand, Mr. Johnson had it there to honor the Native Americans.
He did.
And this was actually put in before Hitler and the Third Reich. And as we all know, Hitler stole the symbol and turned it into what we all know and fear.
Yep, the hotel was actually built in 1927 and opened in 1928. So though Mr. Johnson himself was German, this was established well before World War II.
Hi, my name is Bill, and have a happy Halloween and stay safe this year.
Hi, I'm Debbie. Have a great and fun Halloween.
I'm Sarah. Have a safe Halloween.
I'm Karen. Happy Halloween.
I'm Christina. Have a sweet Halloween.
We should have candy. Like
And now, all together now.
Happy Halloween!
From
From the Rapid City Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
From the Rapid